You know the drill, super early, we're going out to hike a bit, shoot a bit, and in this one, I want to share with you a few just kind of random tips and techniques that have been super helpful for me as far as filming videos goes, like going out and actually shooting videos. We talk a lot about the editing side on this channel and a bit of the pre-production as well, but I don't usually stray into like the actual filming part too much and sharing my process for going out and capturing footage on location. So today we're gonna do just that. I'm gonna share 4 or 5 different tips and techniques that are mostly very simple and are kind of just things to keep in mind while you're out filming that have had a huge impact on the way I shoot and the way my footage turns out. Caffeine and sugar, that is what propels me through these early shoots. It's not good, but it is. It's weird. Yo, take a look at these clouds. So I'm planning my attack for the sunrise, and I'm going through the struggle that I have pretty much every time I go out to shoot, which is just deciding, like, do I stake out here and wait for the sunrise, if that even happens with this weather? Do I keep going and try and find somewhere higher elevation, somewhere cooler? It's a tough call, but I think I'm gonna hop back in the car, as lovely as these clouds and weather conditions are, head a little further up the road. There are a couple cool spots up there, and we will see what we get. Okay, so bad idea. I drove up a little ways, ended up turning around because I hit this area where it was just very like foggy and rainy, would not have made for much of a sunrise. And then I turned back and found this spot that we are now, which is kind of cool. We're on this little ridge and actually have views of both sides of the road, like both angles off into these 2 different valleys, which is nice, gives us some options. And this is a perfect example of the first tip I have for you in this video. It's a big one, and it is to get variety and coverage when you're out shooting, especially in a situation like this where you're kind of racing the light. This basically just means making sure to get a wide variety of footage that gives you options to work with in post. So I know a lot of people who will go out on a shoot and walk away with just one thing. So they get like just drone footage or just photos. And that's fine, but it's tough to make a well-rounded, like complete video from that. So in a situation like this, I typically try to get 3 different types of footage: a time lapse, drone footage, and just some regular handheld B-roll and photos. I am starting to see a little bit of light pop out in front of me, not behind me on this side yet, but let's go ahead, set up this time lapse, see what we get, and see what this weather gives us. Okay, so Mother Nature vetoed that idea. Pretty much as soon as I started setting up, the rain very quickly got very severe. So I ended up just packing up, cruising around for a while, and now I've found a much more dramatic spot, landscape-wise, with these nice big hills and mountains, nice trees as well, and the weather is going absolutely crazy. As you can see, that storm and rain is starting to kind of break, hopefully, knock on wood, and make these really nice low clouds all through the mountains. So same drill: drone, time lapse, B-roll. Let's get it. So I figured while I'm sitting in my trunk waiting for this rain to clear up, would be a good opportunity to let you know that this video is sponsored by Cuts. They make soft, comfy, minimal, just overall fantastic, high quality shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, pretty much anything you can put on the top half of your body, except raincoats. Cuts. When's the raincoat coming? It's brutal out here. For real though, their products are amazing and they're just a dope brand, great team, and they're one of the brands that's willing to sponsor videos like this that are a little out of the box from what I normally pitch to brands, like just tutorials. So if you want to pick up a new shirt, sweatshirt, or hoodie, you will not regret it. There will be a link in the description and you can use the code Aidin Robbins to get 15% off of whatever you choose to purchase. So big thank you to the homies at Cuts. Let's move on with the vid. So another technique that I'm using a lot here is incorporating foreground into my shots, just making sure that there's something really close to the lens. And this is one of my favorite filmmaking and composition techniques. I use it in a ton of my shots and I've talked about it in past videos before. In this case, I'm using these bushes and plants behind me, framing the mountains and the fog behind them so that I can get that extra element right in front of the lens. And it does a couple of things for your footage. Mostly it just adds a lot of depth to the scene. It makes the shot feel very three-dimensional. A lot of shots are visually kind of dull and boring, appear a bit flat because they're just midground and background. And for that reason, you don't see the full kind of three-dimensionality of the scene. So incorporating some elements into the foreground of your shots will help you to do that tremendously. And it also emphasizes the camera movement of your shots, especially if you're shooting handheld and have a very limited range of motion that you can actually go for. So if I'm shooting one of these mountains behind me and moving the camera from side to side or front and back, you're not gonna see that camera motion because the subject is so far away. But when I have these leaves and bushes right in front of it, you can really see the camera pushing forward. It's basically a hack to really easily get some dynamic motion in your shots when you're shooting handheld. All right, so it's been a little while. The clouds and the rain are finally subsiding, starting to part, and dare I say, I'm even seeing a little bit of sun start to poke through. So let's get off the side of the road, hit the trail, and get some more good footage. So I've made it to the summit. The clouds are starting to part a bit. The sun is starting to kind of show its face, which means I can now talk to you about backlighting. The last one was kind of a composition hack. This one is kind of a lighting hack. Backlighting is basically just making sure that your light source is behind your subject, or that the subject is between the camera and the light source. That's gonna help to emphasize and bring out the depth of the scene, but it also just helps to make the light appear a little more soft and flat, especially if you're working with very harsh natural light like direct sunlight. So if the light is coming from behind the camera, it's just shining directly onto the subject, you're more likely to get very harsh, unflattering light. Whereas if it's behind the subject, then it kind of just softens everything out. So in this case, when I'm shooting some B-roll or whatever, with the sun out, if it comes out in a minute, then I'll be making sure to get the sun shining behind whatever I'm filming, whether it be me, a tree, a bush, a leaf, whatever. And a lot of the time, having that light coming from behind your subject can also create a rim light where the light kind of outlines the edge of your subject. It creates a lot of depth and contrast, really helps to make the shot pop. This is applicable to most lighting setups. I mean, of course, you don't have to backlight every single shot. It's on a case-by-case basis and just kind of a rule of thumb to keep in mind, but I'm including it in this video because I would consider it pretty much the key to getting good usable footage in less than optimal lighting conditions like very direct sunlight. Just kidding about the sun. It was pretty short-lived. Also, the drone, probably not gonna happen today. It's getting pretty crowded on this trail, and the weather is still pretty just foggy, which is very pretty, but not necessarily the best for droning. You can't see much. And now, tip number 4, the final, most important part of this video, is just to take out your damn camera. I've had so many situations where I go out to shoot with someone and maybe the weather's not very good, or we miss sunrise, or for whatever reason, the shoot and the conditions just aren't sparking like instant inspiration. And their camera just never comes out of their camera bag. And yeah, of course, there are going to be times when you go out to shoot and don't end up with anything that you're actually going to use, but I just don't think that it's enough to show up, not have any ideas when you get there, and not at least try to go find some, because oftentimes the act of just picking up your camera and taking some photos helps you to find those ideas, find those angles. So yeah, more important than getting coverage, more important than getting foreground in your compositions, backlighting your shots, always at least try to get something good. At least make the effort. Take out your damn camera. All that being said, I hope you enjoyed this one, learned something new from it. Thanks again to the homies at Cuts for sponsoring this one, making this video possible. I'm soaked. It's been a long day. I'm tired. I'm gonna drive down to the base of this mountain and get some tacos. I'll see you next week.